Everything has to be paid for. In 2011, Israel exchanged 1,027 Palestinian prisoners for one soldier, Gilad Shalit. The negotiation took 5 years. Hamas demanded and received a ratio of more than $1,000 to 1. This wasn't just a prisoner exchange, it was a market transaction with a clear price signal. Israeli soldiers are worth approximately 1,000 times more than other combatants in exchange value. This episode reveals the economics of hostage-taking and prisoner exchange, how conflicts create markets in human beings, why paying ransoms finances future kidnappings, and how the business model of captivity becomes self-sustaining. The ransom economy. Somali pirates between 2005 and 2012 collected approximately $400 million in ransom payments, according to the World Bank's analysis of maritime piracy economics. The average ransom per ship, $4 to $5 million. The cost to hijack a ship, approximately $30,000 in fuel, weapons, and small boats. Return on investment, 13,000%. This wasn't random violence, it was a calculated business model. The pirates operated with sophisticated financial structures. Investors funded operations in exchange for profit shares. Negotiators handled communications with shipping companies. Armed teams executed hijackings. Accountants distributed proceeds. One successful hijacking could fund a coastal village for a year. The economic logic was irresistible. A few weeks of work generated more income than a lifetime of fishing. By 2010, the industry employed an estimated 2,500 to 3,000 active pirates, plus support networks of thousands more. Annual maritime insurance premiums for ships transiting the Gulf of Aden increased from $500 per voyage to $150,000, a 300-fold increase. The shipping industry spent an estimated $7 billion annually on anti-piracy measures, armed guards, secure rooms, rerouting around Africa instead of through Suez, higher insurance premiums. They said paying ransoms would save ships and crews. They got an industry that captured more ships to collect more ransoms. The system worked until international naval patrols made hijacking too risky. The economic calculation shifted. Cost of failure, arrest, death, exceeded expected ransom. The business model collapsed. But the model didn't disappear, it migrated. The hostage marketplace. The Islamic State created an industrial system for hostage economics between 2012 and 2017. Western hostages commanded premium prices. According to leaked documents and testimony from released captives, ISIS demanded $100 million to $130 million for American journalist James Foley, unpaid. Foley was executed. $15 million or $20 million for French journalist Nicolas Henin, paid by France through intermediaries. $100 million, $160 million for British aid worker David Haynes, unpaid. Haynes was executed. European governments paid an estimated $125 million in ransoms between 2008 and 2014, according to analysis by the New York Times based on diplomatic sources and released hostages accounts. The economic logic: kidnap Westerners, demand millions, use the proceeds to fund operations, recruit fighters, purchase weapons. Each successful ransom financed the infrastructure to kidnap more. ISIS territory at its peak in 2014-2015 generated an estimated $1 billion annually from various sources. Ransoms represented approximately 10–15% of this, $100 to $150 million per year. For comparison, this exceeded ISIS revenue from taxation in many provinces. Hostages were more profitable than governing. The Quilliam Foundation documented that ISIS assigned specialists to hostage management, guards, negotiators, propagandists who produced execution videos to pressure governments. The organization invested in the infrastructure because the returns justified the costs. But hostage economics isn't just about criminal organizations, states participate too. The exchange rate system. Israel has conducted prisoner exchanges with various groups for decades, establishing clear market prices for different categories of captives. The 1985 Jibril Agreement, Israel released 1,150 prisoners for 3 Israeli soldiers, ratio 3 to 1. The 2004 exchange, Israel released 435 prisoners, including senior militants, for 1 businessman and the bodies of 3 soldiers, ratio approximately 100 to 1 for live captives. The 2011 Shalit exchange, 1,027 prisoners for 1 soldier, ratio 1,027 to 1. The exchange rate has inflated over time. Each exchange establishes a precedent. The next negotiation starts from the previous ratio and escalates. Hamas and other groups understand this economic logic perfectly. Capturing 1 Israeli soldier provides leverage to free hundreds or thousands of imprisoned members. The return on investment for a successful kidnapping is extraordinary. This creates incentives. Invest resources in kidnapping operations because the payoff, measured in released fighters, far exceeds the cost. According to Israeli security analysts, Hamas spent an estimated $40 to $100 million building tunnels into Israel specifically for kidnapping operations. This represents rational economic calculation based on previous exchange ratios. 1 successful kidnapping, 1 soldier captured, yields the release of 1,000 operatives. If even 10% return to active operations, that's 100 fighters. If each fighter costs $10,000 per year to maintain, that's $1 million in annual operational capacity. The tunnel investment of $100 million amortizes over multiple potential kidnappings. The economics work. The Yemeni model. Yemen's civil war created a different hostage economy, foreign workers as negotiating assets. Between 2015 and 2024, various Yemeni factions kidnapped hundreds of foreign workers, aid personnel, and diplomats. The ransoms demanded weren't always monetary. Often the price was political concessions, prisoner releases, or international recognition. The Houthis, according to UN reports, held various foreign nationals demanding recognition of Houthi government legitimacy, release of Houthi prisoners held by Saudi Arabia, removal from terrorist organization lists, resumption of international aid flows. Each hostage became a negotiating chip worth millions in aid, political capital, or released operatives. The economic calculation: holding 1 UN worker might generate $10 million in aid for humanitarian purposes that can be diverted. Holding 1 diplomat might force recognition worth billions in sanctions relief. This transforms hostages from tactical assets into strategic economic instruments. The ransom financing loop. Here's the system that emerges. Ransoms paid today finance kidnappings tomorrow. Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, AQIM, collected an estimated $90 to $120 million in ransom payments between 2008 and 2014, according to research by the Combating Terrorism Center at West Point. These funds didn't disappear, they financed recruitment. Fighters paid $300, $500 per month. Weapons purchases. Vehicle acquisition for desert operations. Communications equipment. Safe houses, infrastructure. This infrastructure enabled more sophisticated kidnapping operations, which generated more ransoms, which funded expansion. The U.S. Treasury Department estimated that by 2012, kidnapping for ransom represented AQIM's single largest revenue source, larger than drug smuggling, larger than donations. The organization essentially became a kidnapping enterprise that occasionally conducted terrorist attacks rather than a terrorist organization that occasionally kidnapped people. The economic logic had reversed the organizational structure. The insurance problem. Kidnapping creates insurance markets. Insurance markets create moral hazard. Moral hazard increases kidnapping. Kidnap and ransom insurance exists for corporations and wealthy individuals operating in high-risk zones. Annual premiums range from $5,000 to $50,000, depending on risk profile and coverage limits. Standard policies cover ransom payments up to $10 to $50 million, negotiator fees, lost income during captivity, medical psychological care after release. The global kidnap insurance market was valued at approximately $500 million in annual premiums by 2020. But insurance creates a problem. It makes paying ransoms easier, which makes kidnapping more profitable. If a company knows insurance will cover the ransom, they're more likely to pay quickly. If kidnappers know insurance exists, they know targets can pay. The existence of insurance increases both the probability of kidnapping and the ransom amounts demanded. This is textbook moral hazard. The protection mechanism increases the risk it's meant to protect against. Mexico provides the clearest example. An estimated 5,000 to 8,000 kidnappings occur annually, according to Mexican NGO data. Official statistics show only 1-200, but most go unreported. The ransom economy in Mexico generates an estimated $250 to $500 million annually. Many victims are insured. Insurance companies pay. Kidnappers prosper. More criminal groups enter the market. The government subsidy model. Some governments pay ransoms while officially maintaining no concessions policies. This creates a subsidy system for kidnapping industries. France, Spain, Switzerland, and Austria have reportedly paid ransoms for citizens held by terrorist groups, according to investigative reporting by the New York Times and Financial Times, though governments deny this. The estimated European government payments to terrorist groups between 2008 and 2014, $125 million at all. These payments come with costs beyond the immediate ransom. They finance terrorist operations. They incentivize future kidnappings of Europeans. They create political pressure on non-paying governments, US, UK, whose citizens get executed while Europeans go free. The economic asymmetry. European citizens are worth $2 to $5 million in ransom. American and British citizens are worth nothing, official policy, no payments, so they're executed as propaganda. This creates perverse incentives. Terrorist groups preferentially target Europeans because they're more profitable. Europeans face higher kidnapping risk precisely because their governments pay. The European governments that pay claim they're protecting citizens. They're actually subsidizing the kidnapping industry that endangers those citizens. The prisoner exchange economy. Prisoner exchanges create different economics. Instead of cash, the currency is detained fighters. Colombia's conflict with FARC involved decades of prisoner exchanges. FARC held hundreds of military and police hostages, demanding prisoner releases in exchange. The longest-held hostage, Ingrid Betancourt, held for 6 years. FARC demanded the release of 500 imprisoned guerrillas plus safe zones. The economic calculation for FARC. Holding high-value hostages costs money, guards, secure camps, supplies, but yields trained fighters who cost far more to recruit and train. If training one guerrilla fighter costs $5,000 and FARC could exchange one hostage for 10 fighters, the return is $50,000 in value per hostage. If it costs $5,000 annually to hold that hostage, the investment pays for itself in 1 year. This explains why groups hold hostages for years. The option value of future exchange exceeds the holding costs. The market failure. The hostage economy represents a market failure. The rational individual decision, pay the ransom, save the person, creates the irrational collective outcome, more kidnappings, more danger. Each family that pays a ransom makes a rational choice. Money is replaceable, their loved one is not. Each government that exchanges prisoners makes a rational choice. Public pressure demands it. the political cost of refusal exceeds the cost of compliance. Each insurance company that covers kidnapping makes a rational choice. Customers want the coverage, competitors offer it. Refusing means losing business. But these individually rational choices aggregate into a system that maximizes kidnapping. The market produces the opposite of what everyone wants. Game theory calls this a collective action problem. Economics calls it negative externality. The result is the same. Everyone acting rationally creates outcomes everyone considers terrible. The attempted solutions. Various solutions have been tried. Most fail. Refusing to pay ransoms works for governments with strong political will, US, UK, but creates domestic political crises when citizens are executed. Doesn't solve the problem if other governments still pay. Military rescue operations, expensive, dangerous, low success rates. The U.S. Delta Force operation to rescue Luke Summers in Yemen in 2014 cost millions and resulted in Summers being killed during the raid. Prosecuting ransom payers makes paying illegal but drives payments underground and doesn't address the demand side. International coordination, theoretically optimal but impossible to enforce. Countries defect from agreements when their own citizens are held. The only successful approach has been making kidnapping unprofitable through security. Naval patrols that stop Somali piracy, military operations that destroyed ISIS territory and freed hostages. But this requires sustained, expensive military presence, and it works only in specific geographic areas with state cooperation. The irreversibility. Once a hostage market establishes itself, it becomes extremely difficult to eliminate. Criminal organizations adapt. When Somali piracy declined, some pirates moved to kidnapping wealthy Somalis for domestic ransom. When ISIS fell, some fighters joined groups in Syria, Yemen, or Africa that practice kidnapping. The expertise transfers, the networks persist, the economic logic remains. Each successful ransom teaches the next generation of kidnappers that the business model works. Each prisoner exchange establishes the going rate for future exchanges. The market has memory, and prices only go in one direction, up. The system revelation. Hostage-taking isn't random violence, it's economics. Capture someone, demand payment, receive payment, use payment to fund operations that enable more captures, repeat. This is a business model as coherent as any legal enterprise. The returns exceed costs, the market expands, competition enters, prices inflate. The only way to end it is to make it unprofitable, refuse all payments, impose massive costs on kidnappers, eliminate safe havens. But this requires coordination failures among dozens of governments, millions of families, and countless insurance companies, all making individual decisions under pressure. The collective action problem remains unsolved. The market continues. Everything has to be paid for, and every ransom paid today finances the kidnapping industry tomorrow, creating a self-sustaining system where human beings become the most profitable commodity in conflict zones. Subscribe to The Price of Conflict to understand how rescue payments become recruitment budgets.